So I've been doing a lot of that, and I feel that I have felt like I'm on the verge of the manifestations for some time. So I'm curious.
But you see, that very sentiment, on the verge of a manifestation that hasn't manifested, takes you right out of the vortex. You can't have it both ways. In other words, you can't be in the vortex and actively aware of the absence of something that you want. So you have to find a way to find the emotional presence of what you want. In other words, you have to be as turned on by the existence of your interest in the manifestation as you are in the manifestation itself. Ooh, I love being interested in this.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like, have you ever sat and looked through a catalog? If you're alive on this planet, you have. Looking through a catalog, have you ever felt a lift in looking through a catalog? That's because the interest in this, the interest is an in the vortex vibration. But now, have you ever looked and turned so many corners down that you got overwhelmed? Or turned so many corners down that you realize there's not enough money or space in the world for all this stuff you've earmarked? Have you ever looked at the catalog long enough that it's no longer life-giving? It sort of just wears you down. It's like, well, what we're getting at is that when you are in the vortex, feeling interested, the manifestation is on the way. When your interest shifts to concern or awareness that it hasn't manifested, now you're practicing a different vibration. And it's practicing the vibration of abundance, or practicing the vibration of alignment that you're reaching for. You getting that? We sort of tiptoed into a new place here. Bring us further with it.
Well, like I said, I feel like I do that. And
do what?
I really enjoy the feeling of just being in alignment, and I practice it regularly. But what tripped you up was the verge of manifestation. See, it's that manifestation thing that trips you up every time, because if you don't care about being on the verge of manifestation, if the manifestation isn't an issue, the emotion is the issue. You're not on the verge of feeling interested, you're there. You're not on the verge of being happy, you're there. You're not on the verge, you're wholly there. And if you're wholly there, then it has to manifest. But it's this awareness, it's this needing, it's this getting in the vortex in order to make something happen that hasn't happened that throws you out of the vortex. Yeah.
So what we're trying to convince you in is the deliciousness of the knowing and the feeling of the vortex. We're not kidding you when we say everything that you want is about that feeling anyway. So why not go straight to the feeling, leave out all the hard work of manifesting and storing the stuff and hauling it around and insuring it. Just leave all of that out of it and just feel the thrill of the interest, feel the thrill of the knowing. And we promise you, we're not trying to talk you out of manifestation. The manifestation will come. That's just how it comes. That's why, haven't you been annoyed? We know you have at one time or other in your life. How the rich just keep getting richer. It is so unfair. Why is that? Why do the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? It's because the rich are not offering a vibration of poor. And then people say, well, that's my point. They're rich, so they focus like rich people focus, and then more rich comes to them. And we say, yes, but you don't have to be rich to focus rich. You don't have to be abundant this red hot minute. You just have to find a way of feeling abundant, you see. And the universe, we got to tell you, the universe will follow you round in a concierge-like attitude, opening doors and rolling out red carpets for you in ways that you can't hire done. In other words, when you start practicing the in the vortex emotions and you begin to see what this incredible universe is able to orchestrate for you now that you are an emotionally cooperative component, you'll never again have the conversation about being on the verge of it, because you'll be so full of the present tense unfolding of it. It's not like saving up for some big event. Everything is a big event. Oh, wonderful conversation with that person on the elevator. Feels so good moving down the street in my vehicle. Oh, magnificent weather showering down around me. Ooh, good ideas flowing in and out of my mind. Loving people surrounding me. Good meals everywhere I go. In other words, when you get tuned in to the frequency of this vortex, the kinds of things that we've been talking about become a non-issue. There's no effort. The vortex just takes you in. Esther says it's like being under the spell of something so wonderful and so powerful that it just says, here, loved one, here, loved one, here, loved one, here, loved one, oh, here, loved one, here, loved one. Ooh, you like that? Here's more. That feels good. Here's more. Think it can't get any better? It can. Here's more. It's like that.
Yeah, I feel it. And I have said for a long time, I feel like I live a charmed life because I feel those feelings. And so from where I am, is there anything that you can share that might help me move forward?
Just catch you in your on the vergenesses. When you catch yourself feeling that something that isn't yet is about to happen. In other words, there's a fine line between anticipation and expectation. In other words, anticipation, positive anticipation and negative expectation. Expectation, what you expect. You want to train your expectancy into wonderful things. We want you to know as we know what you are capable of living fully. We want you to sniff it out with your emotions and embrace it so fully when you find those moments. Like right now, you know what's going on right now? As you're listening to us, you are practicing the vibration of your unmanifested but nevertheless true reality of well-being, you see. And a lot of it's manifested, but you're feeling the vibration of so much that's in your vortex. And if you could just maintain this feeling, you know what we're talking about. You're feeling it, aren't you? You can feel it because you know we know it. And when you know we know it like we know it, when we're focused on you knowing what we know, you know it. Don't you know it? You know it. You know it. You can't not know it. You cannot have been here listening to it and not know it, at least to a degree, in the way that we know it, you see. So as you just milk that, as you just milk what you know, then the universe says, well, this amplifies it, and this amplifies it. Here's evidence of this. Here's evidence of this stable vibration. Here's evidence of this stable, chronic, in the vortex vibration that you've got going on. What you're living, what's manifesting is always evidence of the stable vibration you got going on. And you have the ability to improve it all day, every day. All day, every day.
Yeah. So you've talked about meditation, and I understand meditation and have done it for a long time and how important it is. And is there a way?
We want to put meditation in its perfect context. Meditation, distraction from resistance.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Distraction from resistance. So let's say you've got something that's troubling you and you want to think about the other end of that stick. Can't do it. Because what's troubling you is active. And it's saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you're saying, no, I'm not going to look at you. I'm not going to look at you. I'm not going to look at you. Look at you. I'm not going to think about that thing. I'm not going to think about that thing. I'm not going to think about that thing. I'm not going to think about that thing that I'm thinking about. In other words, you can't let loose of it. And you also can't jump to the other side of it. Now, you might be able to think of something that feels a little better and think of something that feels a little better, and we've been teaching that for a long time, but it is a harder, slower way of going about it than to find yourself in the vortex and know what that means and then milk it, because everything in your environment must acquiesce to your stable vibration. It does. As you're walking around, everything that's manifesting, as you walk around, as you move around through your world, as you move around in traffic, in restaurants, with people, at work, in conversations with others, in conversations in your own mind, as you're moving around this physical environment in which you live, there is a grouping of closely associated vibrational cooperative components who walk around with you everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you go. It's just everywhere you go. That's what your world is. So here you are, you're walking down the same street with other people in different worlds, because you're at different vibrational places. So one is the one who gets splashed on by the cab. One is the one who steps off the curb and breaks a heel or an ankle. One is the one whose purse gets snatched. And the other is the one who's shined on, who's lighted on, who's complimented, who's escorted. In other words, walking down the same street, different vibrational frequencies, living in completely different worlds, you see.
And so
what we were getting at, let's just finish out this thought. So what we were getting at is, what's happening around you is a picture perfect reflection of your habit of vibration. And we know you have different thoughts that you think about different subjects and different ways that you feel about different subjects, but you've got this sort of median vibration going on that most everything in your life is showing you. Everything is an exact match. But what we mean by the medium is, on some subjects you feel really good and you're living slightly better manifestations, and on some subjects you feel really bad and you're living more uncomfortable manifestations. But you all have this narrower than you think range of vibration because and here's what we're leading to. Because we like this so much. Because most of you let what is train your frequency.
Right.
So things can't improve very far. Mm-hmm. But if you could let your knowledge of the existence of the vortex train your frequency, and if you could let the absence of thought, which is what happens in meditation, allow your frequency to raise, that's why meditate, your frequency raise, you're in a different place. Different things are actualizing around you. Try it. Meditate before you go to work. Go to work, and observe who you meet up with and how the day gets off to its start. Who do you meet? What do they say? How do you feel when they say it? What's your point of attraction? Then the next day, meditate for 15 or 20 minutes before you go to work and see if anything changes. And we promise you it will.
Yeah. The
first person that meets you is always very close to your vibrational proximity. In other words, if somebody makes your life hard, the minute you walk in the door, somebody's after you. That's what's going on in your vibration. Because if you were tuned in, tapped in, turned on, feeling good, even though that person is there, even though that person is your boss, even though that person might be looking for you, even though that person wants to make trouble in your world because that person's world is already troubled, that person will not be able to find you. Something will happen. Mm-hmm. Get stopped in the parking lot. Stop to get the toilet paper off the shoe. Something will happen, and you'll zig and you'll zag, and you'll miss that morning rendezvous.
Yeah.
And something appropriate to your vibration will come to you. Something appropriate to your vibration is always what comes to you. Always.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Yeah.